Yo, what's up, family? You cats know what it is. This is Celebrity Talk with Q, and I'm Q. Yay, check this out. What can I tell you? Floyd Mayweather Jr. Gained a victory over Saul Canelo Alvarez and a 12-round professional bout. Hey, what can I say? The first 4 rounds was pretty even. You know what? People have learned to respect the counterpunch. A lot of good fighters have fought well and they threw a punch, leaving their defenses low, because a lot of fighters have to be trained how to keep their defenses up even while throwing a punch. And a lot of fighters have changed the course of a bout by being hit with a counterpunch. I mean, in the fight game, people have learned to respect the counterpunch. I remember back in the day, people respected the haymaker, the jab, the right cross. But now the counterpunch could change the whole course of a fight. So it seemed like they both was a little leery of throwing the first flurry of punches in the first 4 rounds. Did you see that? I mean, they really had each other respect. That's right, Saul Alvarez had Floyd Money Mayweather's respect. Just like Saul didn't throw too many punches in the first 4 rounds, Floyd Mayweather didn't throw too many punches in the first 4 rounds. The punches, they was just kind of, fending each other. They was just kind of throwing a few jabs, that's it. But by the 5th, 6th, and 7th round, I mean, Floyd went into action with a lot of combinations, and he moved a lot. And I don't think Canelo was able to get to him. One thing Canelo has to be careful. You cannot base a whole fighting career just on hard punches. You cannot base a whole fighting career on just being a slugger, because there's always somebody who's going to come along, like a Floyd Money Mayweather Jr., like a Sugar Ray Leonard, remember him? Like a Muhammad Ali. There's always somebody who's going to come along and scientifically diffuse your slugging ability. Floyd Mayweather Jr., he moved a lot. Floyd Mayweather Jr. showed no fear. Floyd Mayweather Jr. went toe-to-toe, and at the same time he moved so much. So Canelo wasn't able to set him up for the hard punch that could have knocked him down. He wasn't able to set him up for the heavy punch like he's done in some of his previous fights. And Floyd Mayweather Jr. had just seemed to frustrate the guy. The last 6 rounds, Floyd Mayweather Jr. dominated. I mean, the combinations, the jabs, the punches. And as time went on, I believe that Floyd Mayweather Jr. had wore Saul Alvarez down psychologically. Saul Alvarez is 23 years old. I mean, he's young. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is 36. I mean, he's been doing this for well over 15 years. And the experience pretty much got the best of Saul. Nevertheless, it was a great fight. I mean, Saul, he's a strong fighter. I mean, how many 23-year-olds you know would have survived up against Floyd Mayweather Jr. for all 12 rounds? How many 23-year-olds you know would have been able to fight Floyd Mayweather Jr. and give a very strong performance? His punches were strong. Canelo threw a lot of strong punches, but he wasn't swift enough or experienced enough to catch Floyd Mayweather Jr. off guard. I mean, the mind behind Floyd Money Mayweather Jr.'s fighting ability is almost incredible. I mean, like him or hate him, I mean, he's a great fighter, so scientific. And it's almost frustrating to watch that some of the guys that you think that's going to give Floyd Money Mayweather Jr. trouble, that they're not able to give him trouble at all. Floyd Mayweather Jr., his purse was $41 million, over $41 million. And rumor has it that he's made at least $350 million in his whole fighting career. No wonder he can have so many people on staff and pay them well. Tell me what you think about the fight. So there you have it. First 4 rounds was a draw, in my opinion, but the rest of the rounds, Floyd Mayweather dominated. Quick, speed, a lot of combinations, and he just did enough to show that he was the more talented, more progressive fighter. Why do you think that the fight went this way? Did Canelo do anything wrong? Could Floyd Mayweather Jr., could he have done better? I mean, come on, I want to know what you feel. I really want to know what you think. Floyd Mayweather Jr. may have 2 or 3 more fights before he retired. Do you think he'll retire undefeated? In my opinion, the way it looks now, he may very well retire undefeated. But I want to know what you think. Alright, so send your comments now. Send it now. Well, there you have it. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is 45-0. He remains undefeated. And Saul Canelo Alvarez is 42-1-1. Great record. Floyd Mayweather Jr. gathers another belt to add to his collection. But somebody tell me this, Saul Canelo Alvarez at 23 has already had 44 fights? Wow. What, did he have 1 fight a month? It certainly looks that way. Now, one judge called it a draw. What do you feel about that? Another judge gave it 116-112, Floyd Mayweather Jr. And another judge gave it 117-111, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Go on and send your comment. I know Floyd Mayweather, I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather Sr., he must be really proud. He did a great job in training his son to yet another victory. Now I want you to understand something. No matter if the judges gives the fight to Floyd Mayweather Jr., no one, in a sense, never loses to Floyd Mayweather Jr. because even if the judges vote in his favor, you still walk away a very rich man. I guess the name is true, Floyd Money Mayweather. God bless you guys. We're going to talk to you soon. And like we always say, if you think Celebrity Talk with Q, if you think we bring the real, you go on and subscribe. Hey, congratulations, Floyd. I'm talking to both of the Floyds. Congratulations, guys. God bless.
Thank you.